do the ends justify the means? Now, Lana, what does that mean to you?
To me, it's saying if there's like a positive end result that you seek, is it worth it to potentially hurt other people or to cause negativity en route to that positive end, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think it's essentially utilitarianism or not. So utilitarianism, just for the folks at home who don't know, or maybe for Lana who doesn't know, I can't tell.
I know utilitarianism is.
Okay. So utilitarianism is the idea that you should always make the decision that causes the most good in the world. So basically, it's saying that you can do a bad thing if an overall good thing will come of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you shouldn't do a good thing if an overall bad thing will come of it, basically. And it's called utilitarianism because of the word utility, which is, the goodness that something holds. So, the utility of a certain decision is what you focus on. And so the ends justify the means is essentially, an old way of saying, do you like utilitarianism?
Right.
And for me personally, well, actually, first of all, we discussed this a little bit on our first episode when we talked about the trolley problem.
Yes.
This idea of utilitarianism of what will cause the most harm and that's bad, or what will cause the most joy and that's good. So it's kind of like a little reprise of that also. I need to stop saying reprise. But
Part 2.
Part 2, yes. But so there's essentially there's a ton of different ideas about what makes something a good decision or a bad decision. And I guess my question for you, Ms. Lana, is just, what does that mean for you? What's a good, what does it mean to do a good thing?
Oh, well, I think that in this context, that's a very loaded question, because I think that the entire, nature of this debate comes from what is a good thing. Is a good thing worth the I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know how I would define it, and I honestly don't know what I think of it because I feel like it's so specific to context.
Yeah, I think the whole idea of ethics and moral philosophy. Put your phone down. The whole idea of
I'm looking at examples.
Okay. The whole idea of ethics and moral philosophy is basically just what is good, what is bad, and
right.
that's my personal extreme area of interest in philosophy. I think it's super fascinating to talk about these different, the different ins and outs of all these really specific ideas. And personally, I have a lot of different opinions on this. I'd say one of my main ones is that I think goodness does come a lot from what will cause the most joy, what will cause the most good in the world. But I think that also there's not a steadfast, you always should be doing the thing that will cause the most utility, right?
Right.
So basically, there's this guy called Immanuel Kant. He's a philosopher, dude.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the part of the podcast, by the way, where I, am gonna spit out an amalgamation of, a Wikipedia thing I read, and The Good Place, and, 6 other things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably gonna be a little wrong, but bear with me, okay?
We're bearing with you.
And he was, into this thing called contractualism, which was, we as a society, we do live in a society, but everyone who lives in a society...
As a society.
Everyone who lives in our society has signed this quote unquote social contract to follow these specific rules, and some people would say they're no lying, no murder. We don't really like murder, stuff like that. And some people, I'd say the opposite of that is which one will cause the most good, utilitarianism, which is where lying or murder or whatever can all be excused for certain reasons.
Right.
And there's my personal favorite. This is okay. Moral particularism. So
Okay.
this is, I think it's Jonathan Dancy. Don't fully quote me on that, but I think it's him. He has this idea called moral particularism, which is what I follow, I think. Yeah. And basically it's the idea that there are no steadfast rules that work in every single situation. There's not even the rule of what's the most good isn't applicable in every situation, because what's the most good is not always the most good for everyone. There's not rules that you can follow in every situation. Moral particularism is the idea that having strict rules about the way you live, no matter what kind of rules, it can only lead to bad things.
That's so interesting.
And I know a lot of people who are I personally am very I know a lot of people who are super they have very specific values, especially like in terms of like honesty is always important.
Right.
I think we can all agree that honesty is generally important, but there are times when you lie because it's better, right?
Right.
Like, this is just how it works.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that... Okay, wait, on the ends justify the means, I was thinking about this last night.
Okay.
And I had the greatest, like, metaphor for it. Okay.
Right.
So imagine... Sorry, just like when I start things like that. So, okay. Just imagine, close your eyes. Close your eyes, everybody.
Eyes are closed.
Okay, so you're gonna imagine this with me.
Okay.
You're sitting in a booth at IHOP
Yes.
with an amigo. And,
Can the amigo's boyfriend also be there?
Okay, with an amigo. And there's a point here, I promise. And basically, everyone's eating their pancakes, right? You're chilling eating your pancakes, right?
Absolutely.
Just, in this example, the means are going to be consuming the pancakes.
Okay.
Now, one person might be like a normal person and like just cut up little pieces as they go and eat. Maybe someone eats it with their hands, which is honestly kind of an elite way to eat pancakes.
YOLO.
And then someone will be insane and do that thing where they like cross-hatch their pancakes and they make like pancake cereal with like the syrup and it's just like a mush. And this is why I don't think that the ends justify the means, because that is not okay. That was I'm aware that was not really probably what Machiavelli was thinking about, but in my head that is the perfect example of like, yeah, okay, you consume the pancakes, I consume the pancakes, we all had a good time, but you did it like an insane person, and I did it like